Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday, March 26. I'm your host, Jamie Sherrod, and you're watching Live Now Detroit.
Live from the Fox 2 newsroom, this is Fox 2 Detroit.
Well, it has been a rainy Tuesday, but that rain could be just the beginning of our problems. Rich Luterman joins us now to tell us what's ahead. Hi, Rich.
Hi there, Jamie. Yeah, we did have a rainy morning, especially, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. And now we're looking at a line of storms that are approaching from the west. So there's going to be a window from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock where some of these storms will cross Southeast Michigan, Metro Detroit, and perhaps bring some gusty winds. Let's take a look at the maps, and you'll clearly see this big swirl in the atmosphere out there close to Chicago. Notice the rain from this morning has shifted off to the east. Quite a bit of rain around Pittsburgh right now, down around Youngstown as well. But we'll zoom things in, and we'll show you this severe threat for today in yellow. So notice how Detroit is actually not in it, nor is Port Huron, but from Lansing to Saginaw out to Grand Rapids, that's the best chance for some of those gusty winds. I know. Let's get to the radar, Luterman. That's what we want to see. So there's the radar, Jamie, and you can see right now Toledo, Detroit, Pontiac, Port Huron, nothing doing. But there's that line quickly racing up on Lansing and Jackson, and within that line, certainly a chance for some gusty winds. Now, when we say gusty winds, winds of 35, 40, 45 miles per hour possible, but it's those higher gusts, perhaps even as much as 55, that could cause, some minor tree damage or perhaps a power outage. So this line of storms will continue to the east and will cross Metro Detroit between 5 and 9 o'clock. So with these storms, you want to just stay informed, the main threat being the gusty winds, but the Fox 2 weather app is a great way to take the weather with you wherever you go. Right now, it's quiet in Mount Clemens, 51 degrees, 57 over at Metro Airport. Let's take a look at the numbers. Now, if we had sunshine today, that would juice up the atmosphere, but it's been pretty cloudy. With numbers staying mostly in the mid to upper 50s. It is breezy out there, and with that, there's a lot of wind energy in the atmosphere. So if we get these storms to bring down some of the higher winds, 5, 6, 7,000 feet, that's when we could potentially see some of those higher wind gusts. 57 here on the other side of our front, 45 in Chicago. Look at Minneapolis. 23 degrees out there. I mean, that's pretty cold. So later on tonight, 11 o'clock, that front will be right on top of us. The storms will be to our east, and then quickly that front peels away to the east. Now, if your travel plans take you to the eastern seaboard, tomorrow into Thursday, there's going to be quite a bit of rain on the east coast. But for us, once we get through with these storms this evening, it's going to be a cooler pattern for the next couple of days. So for the forecast tonight, cloudy. Evening storms, we'll be watching the radar closely, 38 the low. Tomorrow, 48 degrees, so a bit cooler for your Wednesday. And then, of course, what are we dealing with moving forward? Dry weather for Thursday and Friday. A few showers likely Saturday, but there's Easter Sunday, 54, but it's going to be dry on Sunday, then more unsettled for next week. So in the near term, Jamie, we're looking at these storm chances over the next few hours. And with the Fox 2 weather app, or, of course, live on air at 5 o'clock. We're going to be watching the radar, watching the storms. But everybody just needs to be attentive to these storms that are going to cross the area.
Yeah, and Rich, you said those storms would start rolling in around 5 o'clock. That's when a lot of people will be getting off of work. So not only do we have, the traffic that we typically see around that time, but we also have these potential storms mixed in with that as well.
That's exactly right. So I'm going to show the radar because the radar, again, really tells the story. It's not a big area of thunderstorms. It's one line that is quickly racing from western Michigan into central Michigan, and then over the next few hours, it will be crossing Metro Detroit. So the radar tells the story. We're going to be watching the radar. Obviously, stay inside until these storms pass, because if there is a gusty wind embedded and you get a branch to come down, it just makes for trouble. So best advice, Jamie, stay inside until they pass, and we'll be live on air at 5 o'clock, and we'll be watching the storms.
Yeah, stay inside and make sure you download the Fox 2 weather app.
Love it,
All
Jamie.
right. Thank you, Rich.
All right.
A man accused of sexually assaulting 2 elderly women in Dearborn is facing new charges connected to the assault of a teenage girl in Allen Park. Fox 2's Lauren Edwards has the latest.
The arraignment was quick. He was officially charged with criminal sexual conduct, but afterward we met with someone who knows the case, did not want her face shown on camera, but says this has been a difficult time for many.
It's absolutely heartbreaking. There's really no other way to put it. It's just heartbreaking. It's so terrible and so undeserving.
A woman who does not want to be identified, grieving over the sexual assault that happened in Allen Park on March 17th. Allen Park police say 52-year-old Michael Holcomb allegedly sexually assaulted a 13-year-old that day.
She's a wonderful little girl, beautiful, smart, intelligent, amazing. Breaks my heart.
The woman says she knows the survivor. She says another child was present in the home at the time the assault took place.
They helped each other escape. He tried to lock them both in the house, and she's only 7 years old.
Police say after Holcomb allegedly assaulted the 13-year-old in Allen Park, he then later that same day assaulted elderly women in Dearborn. All the victims survived. Holcomb was arraigned last week in the Dearborn case.
But yeah, unfortunately, this person changed the lives of not just the 3 survivors, but their families and communities as well.
Holcomb was arraigned Tuesday morning in Allen Park on criminal sexual conduct and was denied bond, which brought the woman great relief, she says.
It's so unfortunate that it's at the expense of so many good people, but I feel an immense amount of relief. This man has terrorized my life and many others.
The case is expected to resume on April 1st and again on April 16th. In Allen Park, Lauren Edwards, Fox 2 News.
A massive rescue operation continues in Baltimore. That's after a ship collided with part of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, sending several cars into the water. At least 2 people have been rescued, but several others are still missing. Fox's Rebecca Castor has more from the scene.
A massive search and rescue operation is still unfolding near Baltimore, just hours after a cargo ship struck a major bridge. The Francis Scott Key Bridge plunging into the Patapsco River in Baltimore on Tuesday, after officials say it was struck by a large container ship. The crash causing multiple vehicles to fall into the chilly water. The city's fire department says some people have been found, while the search continues for others.
The preliminary investigation points to an accident. We haven't seen any credible evidence of a terrorist attack.
The incident unfolded around 1:30 a.m. local time. Video shows a ship called the Dolly appearing to crash into one of the bridge's support beams, causing parts of the structure to snap. The owner of the vessel says it was headed to Sri Lanka. All crew members, including 2 harbor pilots, have been accounted for, with no reported injuries.
The channel's only 150 yards, so it's really tight through there, but something had to be massively awry for them to run into the bridge.
The bridge spans the Patapsco River, which leads to the Port of Baltimore, a major shipping port on the East Coast. Vessel traffic into and out of the area is suspended, as officials say the focus remains on finding those still missing.
We're going to continue to work in partnership with every part of government to do everything that we can to get us through the other side of this tragedy.
President Biden has been briefed on the matter, and officials say there are no signs of criminal intent. In Baltimore County, Maryland, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
A Royal Oak man facing charges after a 3-hour standoff with police last night. We're told the 46-year-old had barricaded himself inside a home on Campbell and Whitcomb with his wife and 2 kids. A resident who lives in the area tells Fox 2 police blocked off a 4-block radius. Investigators say the man had recently bought 2 long guns and was wearing a bulletproof vest when they arrested him. Officers tased the suspect before the Oakland County SWAT team took him into custody. Thankfully, no one was hurt. An Amazon delivery is normally a welcome sight, but that was not the case for a Farmington Hills man who got quite the surprise while getting dressed for work. Fox 2's Jessica Dupnack has the story.
As I'm in my bedroom changing, I hear the front door open, and I think it's the cat getting out.
Not the kitty. Instead, a full-grown man, ski mask, and Amazon vest.
But as I come around the corner in my socks and my boxers, I see a man halfway into my house, ski mask on, taking pictures.
David Boggs in boxers and socks on a Tuesday afternoon, changing for work.
There's the package he was delivering right here on my doormat inside of my house.
The Amazon driver took the "Welcome to our home" sign way too literal.
I make eye contact with him. He looks at me, and his words are, "Oh."
Uh-oh.
He quickly just closes my door and beelines it.
Was the driver on autopilot? Was he casing the place?
What are you doing opening somebody's door? You don't know what's behind that door.
It could have gone south in so many ways. Exhibit A and B.
They're both super gentle.
Yeah, but I mean, look at him.
Worried about the things that could come if they had bit him. Now I'm the one in trouble, even though he's in my house.
In fairness, though, the package of eclipse glasses for next month's solar eclipse was exactly what David Boggs ordered, but on the porch would have been just fine. He took his concerns to Amazon corporate. We can all imagine how that went.
After an hour of talking to her, she offered me $70 with the recommendation to buy a home security system with it.
With a link to purchase on Amazon. But of course.
I mean, I thought it was safe to leave my main door open with my screen door closed. Apparently that's not safe anymore.
David, obviously a little frustrated with Amazon. He did file a police report with Farmington Hills PD. Amazon tells him they're really not going to do anything about the driver because he didn't do anything violent or steal anything. Jessica Dupnack, Fox 2 News.
An interesting way for Amazon to remedy that situation, for sure. Well, a woman who pleaded guilty to attacking a 10-year-old girl at Somerset Mall has learned her fate. 25-year-old Rihanna Valentine was sentenced today after being caught on camera grabbing a girl's head and slamming it into a glass display case back in January. Police arrested her the next day when she returned to the mall. In court today, she said she had no malice or ill will during the unprovoked attack, but was triggered by a group of girls walking by. Before the incident, she said she was getting mental health treatment and taking medication. Valentine was charged with assault and battery and will serve 18 months probation. We're learning more about how the Detroit Lions found out about cornerback Cameron Sutton's domestic violence case. The team released him last week. Now we're hearing from Lions president Rod Wood about what happened in the days before Sutton was dropped from the team.
We learned about the warrant the same time everybody else did on social media, and we were able to speak to Cam because he was actually in our building. And we found him. He was down with our strength staff. He kind of showed up unexpectedly to work out. We were able to talk to him in person, not me, but others, members of the staff. And he left the building, and we released him the next day. No one has spoken to him since.
No one has seen or heard from Sutton in about 2 weeks. He was supposed to get a $10.5 million base salary this fall, which became guaranteed earlier this month. The Lions have filed to void the guarantees in his contract, which Sutton and his agent can contest. A fun event at a historic automotive site next month, and it's all for a great cause. What you'll be able to do at the Packard Proving Grounds in less than 2 weeks. That's coming up. Welcome back to Live Now Detroit at 4. Time now is 4:15. We are taking a live look at Detroit. This right here is the quiet before the potential storms that are expected to roll in coming around 5 o'clock. So if you have any errands to run, try and get them done before then. Well, a piece of automotive history hoping to get a lift from a fundraiser. The Packard Proving Grounds opened in Shelby Township back in 1928. The 17-acre location was once used to test out new cars. Today, it's a historic site and also hosts weddings and other events. On Saturday, April 6th, it'll host a fundraiser. You are invited to get dressed up in 1920s gear and join the party.
Little by little, we're restoring the buildings and we're trying to make them be able to carry forward into the future. You know, we want to keep automotive history alive in our area. And Packard was quite the superstar back in the day. And it's unusual that here we've got this beautiful artifact that we can restore.
If you're interested in checking that out, you can find tickets by going to packardprovinggrounds.org. They're calling it the Great Gatsby Gala. Fox 2's Roop Raj will MC that event. We're now just 30 days away from the 2024 NFL Draft in downtown Detroit. Tens of thousands of people are expected to be in the city, and organizers want you to be prepared. The city, the Detroit Sports Commission, Visit Detroit, and others held a special event today marking the final countdown. Preparations include providing security for the large crowds that are expected.
Yeah, I just want to also note the collaborative effort, state, local, and federal agencies. We've been working at this for months. Outstanding law enforcement community that's all coming together to ensure the safety and success of this event.
Again, the 2024 NFL Draft presented by Bud Light will be held in downtown Detroit April 25th through 27th. But before football fans descend on the Motor City, college basketball is taking over. The NCAA tournament stops in Detroit this weekend for 2 games inside LCA, the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. While all eyes will be watching who's on the court, Fox 2's Brandon Hudson spotlights the team that made the hardwood floors right here in Michigan.
For one Michigan group, the journey to this year's Sweet 16 didn't begin in the gym. It started deep in the UP, cut from maple trees and crafted at a small factory in a town of 1,500. This video from Connor Sports highlights how they make their trademark hardwood floors. The Michigan-based company has shipped around the world, but this weekend one of their courts will be center stage at Little Caesars Arena for the Sweet 16.
Right now, sending something to Lower Michigan from Upper Michigan is even more it's crazy.
Zach Rapperty is the marketing director for Connor Sports. A few years ago, the company struck a deal with the NCAA to make basketball courts for one of its most popular collegiate tournaments. A big moment for Rapperty, who grew up a basketball fan.
I have an uncle who is very polished and a very good Division I college coach for a number of years and was able to take the University of Washington to he got to the Sweet 16 and was knocked out by Wally Zerbiak at a last-second shot going into the Elite 8. So as a child, that was my experience with it, pulling for a school that I didn't really have a relationship to. And now I'm flying around the country and getting to be a part of stuff like this. And I just got goosebumps right now thinking about it.
It's a town of 300 people, but this court can tell you we are doing cutting-edge manufacturing in the smallest of towns in the most northern part of the state of Michigan. It is exciting to see this expertise out of this small town.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer was one of the first to see the floor Monday at LCA. She joined several corporate leaders to see crews put the final touches on the court. While tens of thousands of fans will watch in the arena and millions will watch worldwide, this is another opportunity for Michigan to showcase its contributions to sports and manufacturing.
It's just so proud to have a Michigan company being a part of such a major event. So it's really, really special for us and I think for the state in general.
The first game of this regional will tip off on Friday night. The final game will be on Sunday. The Detroit Sports Commission will also send a crew out to the Final Four in Phoenix. At LCA, I'm Brandon Hudson, Fox 2 News.
Baseball's biggest name caught up in controversy over allegations his interpreter stole millions from him to place illegal bets. Shohei Ohtani, who just signed a record $700 million contract with the LA Dodgers, is speaking out for the first time. He says his interpreter had been lying and taking money from his account to cover gambling debts. But Ohtani insists he only found out about the theft recently.
I never bet on baseball or any other sports, or never have asked somebody to do it on my behalf, and I have never gone through a bookmaker to bet on sports.
I don't care how much money you have. How did this guy allegedly have access to wire large sums of money? We know of at least 2 wires, $500,000 each, from the Ohtani personal bank account to the account of this alleged bookmaker. How does that happen?
The MLB's policy is to ban players for 1 year if they're caught betting on baseball, even if it's done legally. Both they and the IRS are investigating. We are a month away from the highly anticipated NFL draft here in Detroit, and businesses are expected to be booming in the city. We'll have more on that from our Brandon Hudson when we come back. Good news for businesses. Brandon Hudson joins us to talk more about the economic impact on businesses as a whole, but Brandon, especially Black businesses.
Yeah, so Jamie, good afternoon.
Hi.
We talked about the Sweet 16 impact yesterday. We're talking about the NFL draft impact today. So this story really goes back to a few months ago at Ford Field. They made the announcement that the NFL Draft Committee in Detroit was making partnerships with various organizations across the city and area. And one of those partnerships was with the Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance, which is basically a liaison with a lot of minority-owned businesses in Detroit. And they're trying to help get those businesses, their profiles out there. So in this particular case, we spoke to 2 businesses in particular. One is All Things Marketplace, which is in Corktown. The other is District 78, which is a restaurant in downtown Detroit. So what the thing is even though the main footprint, and you're seeing the footprint of where the draft is going to be in downtown, it's going to have a greater reach beyond what's just happening in downtown. You're going to have All Things Marketplace, which is going to work with other organizations to have a block party in Corktown, because a lot of people, they're going to go to various parts of the city. They're not just going to be in downtown. They're going to be in Corktown. They're going to be in Brush Park. They're going to be in a whole bunch of other places. District 78 is going to be one of those places where people are going to want to get something to eat, get something to drink, hang out. So that's where we spoke to those two businesses today.
Yeah, and what did those two businesses have to say about the upcoming draft? Are they excited? What are their expectations?
So it's a lot of work, because over the next month, you have the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 this weekend. And then you're going to have the draft at the end of the month, but you also have opening day for Tigers on April 5th. So that's in between that. And then you got, for District 78, you got Mother's Day, Father's Day. So you got this is really the start of what's really going to be a really busy season for both All Things Marketplace and District 78. But for All Things Marketplace in particular, they're trying to organize or get together a lot of these minority-owned businesses that are going to have a block party along Corktown, because you're going to have, at the very least, tens of thousands of people who are not necessarily from Detroit, but they're from the suburbs. They're from other states that, represent other NFL teams. So they're getting ready. They know that there's going to be a lot of people that go into their shops that are going to buy souvenirs to take back home with them. For District 78, they kept their plans a little bit under wraps. They're going to have some parties that are going to be going on. They just said the best thing to do is check on their social media if you want to know what's going on, if you want to be in the know.
Yeah, they can't spoil all the secrets just yet. Brandon, oftentimes these Black-owned businesses, small businesses, they're overlooked, but the NFL draft being in the city will definitely put them front and center, and, a much-deserved spotlight as well for, like you said, people who may not have heard of them before.
You know what's amazing about this is that 4 years ago, during the pandemic, we were doing stories about showcasing Black businesses, because there was a struggle. There was a lot of disparity between, minority-owned businesses and other businesses, and as far as getting the word out and getting their brands out. So 4 years later, the NFL has been pushing diversity. This is one of those ways to push diversity, by advocating and advertising, or I guess showcasing, I should say, small minority-owned businesses.
All right, and hopefully this boom in business will extend beyond the NFL draft weekend.
For sure.
All right, thank you, Brandon.
Anytime.